vision board behind you. So how do you start? Just maybe practically show us some steps on how to just get going with putting down your vision on paper and creating this vision board.
So one of the things that I always say, get old magazines, if you have old magazines, and get a pair of scissors, so you're going to cutting, if you're going to do the paper one, then get a stick of glue and a pen. Start with pen and paper. So you gotta get your journal out if you've got a journal and just start writing. And the way I encourage people to do is to kind of put all your thoughts down on paper, but put it in quadrants. Put them in different boxes where you just start thinking, okay, break it down to things that are important to you. So there are different categories in your life. So for example, for a beautiful, busy woman like Iselle, she might need financial, goals. She might have financial goals. She might want to maybe up her game on education. And she says, you know what, I want to get that other degree or that certificate that I always said I wanted to get. So you put that in boxes of the different areas that are important to you. So health and wellness is a critical area now, especially with the pandemic and COVID-19 having to, we're dealing with this crisis where people's health and wellness is now at the forefront of everyone's mind, no matter how old you are. So maybe you might say, okay, I need to just make sure that I'm exercising. I need to walk more. It's not about saying I need to lose weight. It's just saying maybe I just need to be stronger. And I just need to maybe just build stamina, and so that I can just kind of have mental wellness as well. So mental wellness is an important issue. So maybe you might envision yourself being at peace, but the goal that you might put down is to say, I need to make sure that I'm reading, the Bible. So those are things that you can now start activating in your life to say, I've written it down, but what are the steps that I need to take to do that? So after you've written down, I always say, try to reflect as well and see what purpose does it serve. Because many people say, I want to get a jet plane. That'll be so cool. I always say, but where's the money going to come from? So your financial goals need to match up with your career and business goals. Because if you don't up your level of where the income is going to come from, then I'm sure that the financial goals will not be realized. So you might say, okay, now I need to earn more. So maybe you're business minded, so you need to now be more focused on expanding your business, maybe to a certain clientele. But that your vision was to be a successful businesswoman. And then on the financial side is to say, I want to own properties, or I want to be able to develop certain communities. And then, so the purpose behind it is to say, maybe I want to be financially stable so I can help my family. So that feeds into the relationship box as well. Where you say, I want to be able to provide for my family. I want to be able to pay for the school fees. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to support my community and build maybe a community center or an orphanage. So it all takes money, but all the other areas in your life help feed into a lot of that. And at the bottom line is, what purpose does it serve? So pictures and images absolutely serve a purpose of giving us inspiration. So when you cut out pictures, many people think, it's just about cutting pictures and pasting them. So the next step is where you cut out images. So if you look through a magazine, you'll find different images. So for example, if I am a person that I want to look confident. So if you look at the image with this lady with the green suit. So Iselle, tell me what's the first word that comes to mind to describe this lady?
Standing tall. She's standing tall. Confidence.
There we go. So maybe you are trying to inspire yourself to say, let me stand up tall for what I believe in. Let me stand up tall and not cower and out of fear. Let me stand up tall in 2020, even though the lockdown wants to minimize my dreams. So maybe you can cut out a picture like that so it represents as a metaphor for a whole lot of things about confidence and being tall. It's not necessarily that you want to look like that person, but it's really just maybe her fashion savviness might inspire you. And then you can put that there. So that's the power of images. So when you do your collage, it's really about putting words as well. So words, phrases, or images. So you can choose different things. I love to put things like a clock. because that reminds me to manage my time when whatever I'm trying to pursue in life, make every day count, seize the day. For me, that's what a clock stands for. So that'll inspire me to say, Rebecca, regarding those things that you envision for yourself, are we still on track with it? Are we procrastinating? And then if I'm procrastinating, then I'll kind of get my journal out and then make sure that I put my diary and say, let's schedule a meeting to get that goal ticked off the list. So words, you might find words all over the magazine or newspaper. So I love this word which says living the dream. This is a subheading. There's one who says sunshine. Maybe you just want to bring brightness into your life because you feel like things have just been dark. So you just kind of like use things like that to inspire you. And my sons, I've got 3 sons, and they're grown up now. Then 2 in their 20s and 1 is in their teens. And I did the vision board with them when they were still in grade school. And the time that I worked with them, then they started doing their own vision boards each year. And each year I would see the difference from one vision board to the other. And I got to know how to pray for them more intentionally as well, because I understood what their heartbeat was. Couples as well. Couples can also use it as a tool to bond, because now the spouse or the partner gets to know like, oh, I didn't know you like that. Okay, then they're more intentional maybe in the gifts that they bring to you. So for this year, I've got my vision board in the back. So I put pictures like succulents on there because I was saying I want to do more gardening and just appreciate plants more. So one lady, she was working with a lady who provides succulents, and she delivered this for me. It looks like ice cream, right? But it was such a beautiful gift. And I was like, oh, how did you know? She said, no, I heard you say you like succulents, but you didn't have to give it to me. But she gifted me this gift. So I think at the end of the day, when you also put the intention out there, somehow the people who sow into your life, the things that they say law of attraction, but I don't necessarily believe that, you just put it on a board and then it appears. You have to be intentional and you have to act on it. However, some of the surprises that you get in life are very much aligned with some of the things that you would have put in a vision board. So a lot of people always get surprised. Even one lady, she was putting for her community service as her goal. She said she wanted to work with one of the large global organizations. And during lockdown, she started working on a project. She forgot that she'd put that specific name of the organization. So she was like looking back and reflecting. She was like, oh my goodness, I'm actually working with this team. So she had put an intention out there, but because her purpose was bigger than just attaching a name to a brand, it became a reality. And somehow, somewhere things, start unfolding. And for my life personally as well, a lot of things have happened. One time I wanted to be in Destiny magazine. And I put on my vision board, and then a lady who didn't know what was on my vision board, and she was in marketing, and she says, Rebecca, put your name forward for an interview. And fast forward a few months later, I was in the magazine, and it was just like, oh my goodness, for me, it wasn't about being famous or anything. I really just said, this is a platform in this specific magazine that speaks to women. And I really wanted to just share a story of how women in IT can actually, make progress and make an impact in organizations, regardless of your gender. Even if you're a busy mom of 3 kids, you can still make an impact. So it really was just to say, let me inspire women, let them know that they too can do it.
How important is it to go back, to revisit what you've put down, how far you've come, and make the necessary changes? And also, how do you keep yourself encouraged maybe when you haven't achieved those goals to stay at it and keep persisting, even if you maybe haven't achieved it in the specific timeline, but not to give up, So just to reassess, reevaluate, how far have I come and how do I progress forward?
Oh, such a good question. So one of the things that I practice is gratitude. Gratitude is so important because it allows you to remember. There's a scripture which says, bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not his benefits, right? So there's so many blessings that we experience, and we start taking things for granted. Just being grateful to have a roof over your head, helps you to keep the main things, right? When people are told to go home and stay home, some people didn't have a home to go to. You can imagine the ones who are on the streets, the ones who had to stay with strangers, maybe they were not that welcome. So just knowing that I've got a roof over my head can be something that simple to start igniting that hope again in you, and that focus again to say, actually, you know what, I do have more things that are going well than what's going wrong. So even when I said, you know, when you write your goals down in those quadrants in the different categories, it's also important to know that if one area is going bad, it doesn't mean all the areas are going bad, right? But we tend to say, okay, if this area is falling apart in my life, that means everything is going wrong. I've lost everything. And no, you didn't lose everything. So, and you're not dying, you know, you're just learning to swim in the deep end. So it's also about building resilience. When you start getting discouraged. So I always encourage maybe having a gratitude jar as a family where you just put little notes, you know, where you just say we're grateful for the food, or maybe family members, maybe appreciate your husband. You put that down and say, hey, I appreciate my husband for, you know, cooking for us today, or for cleaning the dishes today. Maybe it matters to you. For someone else, it's not a big deal, but for you, it matters. So they need to hear that more often. And I think just also when you want to stay on track, it's also important to have a tracker where you just kind of maybe keep a calendar and revisit it. So I always say mid-year, so every 6 months, where you just kind of check in with your vision board, but keep your vision board somewhere visible. So visible where you can see it every day. It's just a reminder, a constant reminder of the things that you're trusting God for. So I always keep mine, you know, by the door. So when I'm walking in the house or leaving the house, or if I'm going through the passage, I see it. It's just a real reminder. But when I need to revisit it and really take stock, I try to do that every 6 months. But when I redo my vision board, I sometimes don't do it every year, because maybe the stuff that I've put on that vision board are still valid for the following year, and I still have not, and they're still relevant as well. But when you see things have kind of changed, it's important to kind of like update it. So mine, the one in the back of me, so it's quite a busy vision board. It's got things crammed up in there. But one of the things that I plan to do is to design it a little bit more with better aesthetics, mainly because that's just how I work. I like to dump all the ideas down and just put them as they flow, and they make sense to me. But then maybe next year when I'm updating it, then I can frame it into a bigger frame and with less clutter. But right now, I just needed to put all my ideas, and a lot of the things that I put on my board, they actually have been working, and it helped me stay motivated, especially when I was starting to, get affected by the lockdown and the isolation. So it's really just a way to just stay focused, stay impactful. And vision boards definitely just, they stir you up and challenge you to not sit down and give up.
The Bible says, without vision, people perish. You don't know where you're going. It is so difficult to stay motivated, to stay encouraged. And like you were saying, sometimes you walk past it and you're reminded that even in lockdown, you were saying, like, it keeps you encouraged, and you look at it like, I still have somewhere to go. So I really like that. And I like the practical steps, and I like the creativity, because you can pull the kids in. Kids love having fun with paper and catching stones. You can teach them from a young age that put the goals down and then always look back and reward yourself if you've achieved it, and celebrate the progress that you've made. And then it's like life is a journey, and every step along the way can be celebrated. So with the jar and being thankful and being grateful for the progress. So I really love it. Thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it. Any final remarks from you?
The same God who created the whole universe, He just cares about you, and you matter to Him, and your dreams matter to Him. And He says that He's got many numerous dreams concerning your life. And more than just us living our dreams, let's live out God's dream concerning us. Just like any parent, we have dreams for our children. We hope that they succeed in life, and maybe we might make provision. but we co-create with our, to make sure that we also play our part. So being, having a vision doesn't mean that you're being, neglecting God's will in your life. It also brings you closer to say, God, what's your purpose for me? What are your dreams, Daddy God? And you'll say, oh my goodness, the things I got planned for you. He says he's got the whole universe. He says, I've given you till the ends of the earth as an inheritance, right? He's given us nations. So if you've got a global vision for your ministry, your work, God's got that dream funded for you. He will make the provision. And so it's just important for us to rise up and not allow defeat or fear or doubt or procrastination or laziness, or even what people say and the lack of support that you might not be receiving concerning your dream. Just keep pushing, because I always say to myself, if I die, I'm going to be accountable for the gifts that God put in me. And you'll say, okay, what did you do about that book that I put inside of you, Rebecca? And then I'll say, oh, but I didn't have time. Sometimes our excuses are not that great, as much as we might convince ourselves. So just push past every excuse that you might feel that is valid and work through it and find a way to win. So I just want to encourage you to keep having a vision. Make sure that it inspires you to progress in life, and nothing is impossible. And leave room as well for surprises. Leave room for delays concerning some of the dreams, because sometimes things that are beyond your control can delay certain things from happening. Leave room for disappointments, because sometimes the things that you thought would happen might not happen. Leave room for miracles as well, because with your vision board, when you place it there, the unspeakable things will happen, and you'll be able to give a testimony for it. But don't get so rigid to a point where you don't allow room for God to work with your vision as well. So leave room for God ultimately to just kind of make that a reality and just lift you up from wherever you are to where He wants you to be, but live out God's dreams for you as well.